All right, welcome back to the weigh-in. Big fights this weekend, good boxing this weekend, good UFC this weekend. Break down both. Let me start off with the boxing card. Just stacked card, really stacked. Maybe not superstars, but maybe the potential of superstars is what I would say. Um, Jermall Charlo versus Derevyanchenko, which is a great fight. Definitely Jermall Charlo's biggest test. Um, just slightly above Jermall, Julian Williams, who Julian Williams was a great fighter, and Jermall Charlo looked extremely impressive in that performance, and he knocked out Julian Williams, who at that point was his biggest test. But Derevyanchenko is proven more than Julian Williams has been proven in boxing. Derevyanchenko has won to war and probably should have had a decision against Golovkin, and has won to war with Danny Jacobs, and Danny Jacobs was at his absolute best, and probably could have got a decision there too. So he is a guy that fights. Fights to the level of his competition. I'll start off with this fight. I'll break this one down first. Um, Derevyanchenko is a very good fighter. His physical traits are not the best. Okay, he's very short for that weight division. Very little reach for that weight division. Jermall Charlo is going to be a much bigger man, look much bigger man in the ring. Very a lot taller, wider, and longer arms. He's going to have all those attributes are going to favor him. Right, all those that's going to favor him in the fight. His size and everything, reach, everything that will favor him in this fight. Speed will favor him in this fight. Power will favor him in this fight. And if you have all those things, you would think, well, how is this going to be a good fight? It's because it's boxing. You can have those things, but there's the little things. Just like how in basketball, right? Like if you have basketball and you have two guys and they both are equal, right? One's the same speed, right? Same jumping ability, same explosion, all those things, and you would say, well, why isn't this guy as good as this guy, right? Why is this guy just barely get off the bench and this guy's a starter, right? And it's the little things that they do. It's the commitment to things they do. It's the little aspects they add to their game. And with Derevyanchenko is the little aspects. That's what his fighting style is. It's just all these little aspects that he does. First of all, he's consistent. He gets better as the fight goes on. And Jermall Charlo is the opposite. He gets worse as the fight goes on. The reason why Jermall Charlo gets worse as he goes on because Jermall Charlo fights with he's using a lot of his abilities. He doesn't never really set up his punches. He's a good counter puncher. At times, he's a good counter puncher. When Jermall Charlo uses a solid base, he has like one of the best bases in boxing. He's a solid base. He keeps it. He's very confident in it. He doesn't really. If you jump in on him, he's not really looking to get out of there. He's kind of looking. He's always looking to respond. He's there to use his power and speed, but he doesn't have any setup shots. He's what Canelo had when he fought Floyd Mayweather. He didn't have any setup shots. So when Floyd Mayweather saw that, he just said, "I'm going to see all your shots coming because you're not setting them up, right? It's just big power shots. You're just trying to use your power to get me out of here, and it's not going to work against top fighters, elite fighters that will never work like that. You have to add that the parts of your game where you're just touching them, and then it sets up something else, or you touch them here, and suddenly that's setting up to go down to the body. It's little triggers to the game that Jermall Charlo has not shown yet. Now maybe he shows it this fight. Maybe this is the exact level of step up that he needs, or maybe it's the one of the fight that shows him that he needs to add it to his repertoire. But hasn't shown it yet, and I'm going to go into this fight thinking that he doesn't have it. So Jermall Charlo is effective early because he's very fast. He hits really hard. He's really just a one-shot type of guy. He's not really a combination puncher, unless he has you hurt. Then he will start flurrying on you. But when it's early in the fight, he's kind of just picking a shot, but not picking him. He's going heavy. He's trying to get you out of there. He's hitting with a lot of speed, a lot of power, and he's really putting it on you to go for your neck, right? And Derevyanchenko as I said, he gets better as the fight goes on, but early in the fight, he's really susceptible to being hurt and dropped. And I expect him to be hurt or dropped early in this fight. And I expect Jermall Charlo to start off very strong, but I expect Jermall Charlo to start slow down, which he does. And when Jermall Charlo starts slow down, his shots are a lot more predictable. And if you survive the flurry, the early flurry, right, you're going to start seeing those. That means you survived it when it was at its fastest and at its most powerful. But as the fight goes on, he gets slower, and it becomes less powerful because the shot's not hitting at pinpoint as it should, right? And Derevyanchenko is the guy to do that. He always gets hurt. He always comes back, and he ends up putting the fight in his pace. And the fight in his pace couldn't push Jermall Charlo off his base because he likes to push you back. and he's good at switching angles, and he's good defensively. He starts getting high guard, starts seeing where your punches are coming from, and then he starts coming in with jabs, boom, boom, jabbing you, bah, 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 bah. And then he does a lot of switches. He goes to your body and he switches. He switches angle with his legs. He's very good with his legs to switch out and get to a body shot. So I expect Jermall Charlo to start off strong in this fight. This is a very good fight. Very, very good fight. I expect Jermall Charlo to start off strong in this fight. Look dominant, maybe even early, but as the fight goes on, that's where it's going to get interesting. Now, can't see Derevyanchenko being able to get a decision in this fight. I just can't see it because Jermall Charlo is a lot flashier. The shots look a lot more powerful. Everything he does just looks more impressive, right? And that's what judges, they get tricked, just like anyone else, right? They see that and you're like, well, that looks more effective than what this guy's doing. And this guy's landing little shots, big shots here and there, but it looks more impressive what Jermall is doing. You look like if you're watching a fight, you're like, I'd rather be Jermall in this fight, right? Even if that's not the case, even if the other guy's landing more shots and he's being more effective. So I think Jermall Charlo's going to get early knockdown, early hurt him early, right? And then he's going to start the fight's going to get closer in the middle rounds. And he may even start losing big in the later rounds. But just the little shots he's going to land in between the numerous shots will be able to secure him a decision. Now, if Jermall Charlo knocks out Derevyanchenko and it's not a close fight and everything, well, then Jermall Charlo has arrived at that division in a fight, in a guy where everyone's had a hard time with him. No one's blown him out. So that would... Either way, the outcome of this is extremely interesting, and it's beautiful for boxing. This is what good matchups do, which if you listen to my podcast, that's what I preach all the time. Good matchups can only benefit boxing, even if it's a blowout, right? Even if you have two good guys and it doesn't turn out to anything, right? And he blows him out. That's beautiful, Jermall Charlo. And Derevyanchenko blows out, stupid fly, right in my face. If Derevyanchenko blows out Charlo or beats him a decision, then that's even, he can go and fight multiple guys. Go fight Golovkin in a rematch. It keeps the ball rolling, right? So I expect Jermall Charlo to win this fight, win a decision. Like I said, maybe hurt him early and everything and pull out the fight to win a decision. I think it might be close. I expect it to be a close decision, but I expect Jermall Charlo to win the decision. And hopefully he learns from this fight and adds more to his game going forward, because maybe that Canelo fight is interesting. The thing is, can Canelo get back to middleweight to fight him? And Canelo's going through the legal troubles and everything, but these guys are going to start making fights with each other because there's not a lot of mega fights out there, and this is a pay-per-view card, and this is going to be really interesting if people order this pay-per-view card, because boxing is not really that hot of a commodity right now. I'll be honest with you, it's not a hot commodity right now, and there's a UFC card and a big UFC card on the same night, so we will see. That will be very interesting on the two main events. So what they're doing with this card, it's one card, right? One card by itself with Jermall Charlo, and then another card with his brother Jermell Charlo, right? Jermall. And Jermell's a smaller fighter. He's 154. Jermall's a middleweight, and Jermell's a junior middleweight, world champ, and might be the best junior middleweight we've had in a very long time. And I think he's actually underrated, and he's fought very good competition. He just stopped Tony Harrison after losing a controversial decision to Tony Harrison. He came back and had left no doubt that he was a better fighter in that fight. Jermell Charlo, his style is somewhat like Jermall, but he's more of a combination puncher. When he first started, he wasn't the most exciting fighter. He was actually a pretty boring fighter. He would just stick and move, and against lesser competition that could never really put the pressure on him or have the speed or anything to add to attack him. It would just be end up a boring fight. He ended up switching training. He ended up switching trainers, and the guy brought out his power, right? And it brought out a more aggressive Jermall Charlo, and it's definitely brought out the best Jermall Charlo. Jermall Charlo is not really that great of a defensive fighter. I think that early in his career he was, because he's fighting less competition, but as competition got better, defensively he's not that great. Really, he's really more an offensive fighter. And when they enhance that, he gets hit. He's a very exciting fighter to watch. His offense is, because he is a combination puncher, because he's so fast and he hits so hard. It's really interesting to watch. He's one of the best offensive fighters probably in boxing right now. And his stamina, I think that's the most never really talked about, is how good his stamina is. His power and speed does not stop. His power and speed doesn't slow down going into the 7th, 8th, 9th round. No, it stays consistent. His power in Tony Harrison fight and speed was the same from the first and second round going forward in that fight. There was no, the first and second round to the 8th and 9th round was the exact same. That's what brings him so dangerous is he's constantly coming at you with the same energy, same velocity, and same speed. I think that's what makes him the better of him and his brother. He's the best one. And if he wins this fight against Rosario, who Rosario was kind of wasn't expected to be here in this thing. He beat Julian Williams in a pretty big in an upset, and I don't think people expected that. I don't think PBC expected that. Rosario is he's been a contender. He's right there, like right in the contender, but never had the big win that he needed until he beat Julian Williams for the title. And this is why we're here. And as I watched it, right, Rosario hits very hard. He has the height. The one thing that I see with Rosario, he's limited. Leg movement is very limited. So what makes me think that this might go to Jermell falling back into a style that he started off with, where he's probably going to look to move, right? And if he looks to move, I don't know if Rosario has a leg movement to chase him down and cut off the ring. I have my doubts. But if we get the Jermell Charlo that's looking to be impressive and wants to show that he's the better brother and wants to show that his main event and he's the future boxing and all these things, you might get a real interesting fight. And it's funny how mentalities and situations could lead to something like this, right? Rosario is easy to get hit. That's another thing too, is that he has his defensive thing. He really only has like one defensive trick, and he falls back. But he falls back and leaves his leg still. So it's like a big mistake you would never want to do. And it's funny is because Adesanya almost does the same thing. Adesanya's probably I would say Adesanya's probably like is probably more athletic and better with his legs than what Rosario, like in his sport, than Rosario's bringing in boxing compared to the level of competition. But Rosario likes to fall back on one side, and he falls straight back to respond with this power shot. And I think that Jermell is probably going to catch him early falling back like that. And I expect that Jermell lands a few times like that. He's going to hurt him because you have no legs under you to take those shots, to brace for those shots. So, but if he lands early on that, right? And then what happens when you could land early like that, and say you don't hurt the guy, but you land good, you're going to start getting greedy with that shot. And if Jermell starts getting greedy with that shot, well, that's going to open it up for Rosario, because that's what Rosario needs. Rosario wants him to get greedy with that shot. He wants him to land, and he wants to land back. And that's what's going to be. And Rosario has a very, very hard right hand. So I'm going to, let's do this split screen here. That's it. Okay, this. Let's see real quick. Rosario. If you've seen me type on here before, you know I suck at it. Yeah, Rosario. So I'm trying to see the. If you see here, see what he does is he likes to fall back and hit you with his right hand. He's always looking to land this right hand. He kind of like pauses his jab, but it's heavy. He sticks his back leg into the ground. Like he sticks it like if you were putting up like an umbrella at the beach or something like that, and you stick it in the ground, right? That's what he does with his back leg. He sticks it in the ground and he falls back. Like his defense is, I'm gonna fall back and that's gonna be stuck in the ground so I can sling back with my right hand. That's what he's going to do. He's gonna pause his jab, he's gonna put pressure on Jermell. Now if Jermell says, well, I'm gonna get this guy out of here because I'm superior to him and his defense is too much openings, right? Well then at that point, back to one screen here, at that point that's when it's probably could get interesting, because that's when it'll be Rosario's best shot. In these fights, the most interesting fight to me is Derevyanchenko. That's the better fight of the two main events, right? Because I think that those are more equal to talent. And I think that Jermell is superior talent to Rosario. Now, I think Rosario hits really hard, and he has the things that, not saying that, like, he doesn't have a chance to fight, because he does. He has all, he can hit, he hits hard. He is tricky falling back with that defensive move, and he hits very good off of it if you missed and you come in too close. And he has a hard jab, and he goes very good to the body with the left hook. So he has, I'm not saying he's a very skilled fighter. In boxing, it's all about applying what you're good at to the fighter. So it's not like, oh, this guy could do way more and everything like that, so he's for sure going to win. That's not the case. It's what do you do best, and can you apply that to the fighter? And Rosario could do good the things really good, so it should be an interesting fight, but I just think Jermell will be too much. And I think defensively, Rosario has the same move over and over again, and I think Jermell will just start catch him, too much speed, too much power. And it's going to be very interesting where he goes from here. There is a lot of competition out there. The most interesting fight is actually a stablemate of his would be Errol Spence moving up to fight him, but I don't see that happening. But like I said, these things, boxing is very up and down with these guys' personalities, and if the money's right, people usually end up fighting. Will end up fighting each other. But I think that's a very good fight. I will pick Jermell stoppage against Rosario, fifth or sixth round, just landing too much shots consistently. And I will pick Jermall Charlo to take a decision and almost survive this fight, close decision against Derevyanchenko, and just an excellent card. I mean, there's 6 fights on this card, and every one of them is close and competitive. It truly is. It's a reversal of roles. Honestly, I feel like this weekend is where UFC probably is giving you 2 really good fights on a good card. Like, I'm not hating on that card, very good card, but really just 2 very good fights, 2 interesting fights. A co-main event, I'm like, whatever about. I will talk about it right now. But boxing is giving you 6 straight solid fights. Like, there's gonna be good fights on this card. There's just the matchups are too good. There's no way that not one fight doesn't, 2 fights don't deliver on it, right? So that's what we're gonna see. It's a reversal of roles almost in a way, and I think because boxing has to do these things, it has to give better cards like this, and it's interesting to see. We're going to UFC and big fight. I'm hearing the biggest middleweight fight of all time. I don't think so. Henderson fought Dan Henderson, which was a really big fight. Was a champ from Pride coming to fight the champ from the UFC. That was a huge fight. Anderson versus Chow #2 was pretty big. That was a really big fight. So I don't think it's that, but it's hyped. It's really good. And talent-wise, Adesanya could be one of the best UFC fighters of all time. But we will see, because when people talked about this fight, I just never thought Adesanya would this fight even be close, and Adesanya would just destroy him. It would just be an outclassing, right? Because Paulo Costa's main skill is boxing, but he's not a very good boxer. So it's interesting because Adesanya is a very good kickboxer. He's, could be one of the best kickboxers, right? And in MMA, he's levels above everyone. But he still struggled in a stand-up fight with Yoel Romero. And he also struggled in a stand-up fight with Kevin Gastelum. And Kevin Gastelum is not, I wouldn't say an elite striker in a sport that's just strictly striking. I wouldn't say that in any sport. I wouldn't say he's an elite kickboxer. I wouldn't say he's an elite boxer. Probably not even a good boxer in pro boxing. And Yoel Romero is just really explosion. So with those fights that happening, I think Gastelum is closer to this fight than Yoel Romero is, but there's somewhat combined. It's kind of like combining those two and putting it against Izzy. And I know Izzy's saying he's going to use his footwork and it'll be too much. And it is a smaller cage, and he says that shouldn't matter because he can move all day and stuff like that. But it will matter. It will matter because there's the difference of being able to take 1 step back or taking 2 steps back. You know what I mean? Or how far the step back you're going to take. And Costa is he's going to put pressure on you. And like I said, he's not great at boxing. He isn't, and he has a lot of flaws, and a lot of things he does are not good at all. But he's more athletic than I previously remember when I started watching. I think he's more athletic. His legs are a lot more jumpy. They're a lot quicker than I remember. His kicks off, like just moving forward are very quick. And his punching isn't precise at all, but he puts a lot of pressure on you, and he does punch a lot of shots. Now, the biggest problem I have with Costa is the way his body's built and the muscles he has in his arms. He tires, and his arms get tight, and when he fought Yoel Romero, he was dead. At the end of the second round, he was dead. And Yoel just too old to capitalize on it. But in a 5-round fight with Izzy, and I don't think he's going to get Izzy out early, I think at that point, even if he's getting the better of it for the 2 rounds, the pressure, Izzy's experience, who he's already been in wars in the UFC, been in wars in kickboxing and been in long fights and has good cardio, he will expose you. In the 3rd round, 4th, 5th round, he's going to expose Costa if it gets to that point. Because Costa will be so dead tired, he won't be able to get his arms up. And that body shape with big giant bicep muscles and everything, it doesn't work for stand-up. I get it. I get like the seeing it and thinking like, well, man, this guy must hit really hard or whatever. And Costa does hit hard, but it's not because of his bicep muscles, okay? And it doesn't benefit him really in these, besides maybe he's strong in the clinch, I'm guessing, but I'm saying as punching wise, right? What he does, it's not going to benefit him. And it's not going to benefit him late. It's going to hurt him. It's going to be a weapon against him. And Izzy is going to be able to tear him apart from that point. But the problem is Costa's going to be, I think Costa might get some effective work in early because Izzy falls back and he's not very good going backwards. Now he claims his leg movement is, he's very confident in his leg movement and that's good, but I don't think Izzy's leg work going backwards is that great. And I think that he has a lot of big openings and I think that he falls back too much and I think that he loses his legs with his head movement. And I think that he falls straight back, and he especially did it against Yao, and he did that against Gastelum. And so he fell straight back. He stands sometimes too stiff, and when he does use his head movement, he loses his legs. And if he loses his legs, right? So Costa's coming in, and Adesanya he loses his legs, right? And he goes straight back to avoid the shots. The thing is if Costa throws more than one shot, so he misses this shot, but Costa has another one coming and catches him at the end of it without his legs behind underneath him, he's gonna be in trouble. That's the thing is that Costa's gonna have to get to work early, and he's gonna have to push a lot of pressure, and he's gonna have to throw more than one shot because he's not precise with his shots. So his shots have to be more than one. It have to be multiple shots, and he's not precise, so he has to throw multiple shots in to hopefully give Izzy too much to see to move. And I think that the body kicks are going to be more effective than anyone's really talking about for Costa because they're so quick. And Izzy likes to defend off of reaction. So he would like to block it with his hand. And I think that if you start getting Izzy to start guessing with his hands too much and rely too much on just his natural ability, I think that's where he can get in trouble defensively. So the way I see the fight is Costa might look effective. I think Costa's probably gonna look effective like first round, right? First round's gonna be a pretty good fight. I think a dog fight. Second round, right? I think Costa still putting pressure, but late in that round, he's gonna look gassed and Izzy's gonna know it. And I think third round, Izzy starts taking him apart, starts kicking him wherever he wants, hitting him wherever he wants. Izzy has to keep his punches straight down the middle because Costa walks straight into all these punches. He just has no defense. He's just gonna come in and swing. So he's got to punch straight down the middle. And I seen that Costa had a problem with Hall when Hall was jabbing. So I hope that Izzy adds a really good, consistent jab in this fight and punches straight down the middle. I like Izzy because I like that he truly is, he did a specialty. He is a specialist. I really like specialists, and especially in MMA because I like to see something at its highest level. And I think that if we get to the third and fourth round, which I expect Izzy to stop in the fourth, because Costa will be just too tired and he'll be teeing off on him, that's what I expect to happen. And I think that Costa could go very well, and I like Costa more when I studied him than when I saw him like actually like fight and like watching a UFC card. I don't know why. For some reason I just saw maybe too much mistakes. I'm just like I just didn't buy it. But I liked him more. But Costa can easily become one of those guys that the UFC hyped up and we all hyped up. And he fought for world title and he loses, and then he loses the next fight, and he loses the next fight, and he's just suddenly just a guy. He could very well be turned into that. I think that there's a lot of things, unless he just hits way too hard and no one, anywhere he touches goes to sleep. But I don't see that. I don't see his power like that devastating. So I expect Izzy to win this fight. Another fight on that card is how do you say Ian? I don't know. Dominic Reyes is fighting for the light heavyweight title against I can't pronounce that guy's name, but I believe his first name is Ian. Let's look it up. Look it up. Dominic Reyes. Blachowicz. John Blachowicz. And Blachowicz, it's interesting. He's another one of these guys who hits really hard, but has very little skill standing up. I mean, I'll be honest with you, he has very little skill, but he must hit devastating because every time he touches someone, and I mean, he literally slaps with his punches. He kicks. He just completely straight up stiff, bad leg movement, bad punching technique, everything. I'm not sure what he's good at now. That I'm from what the commentary I've heard, Joe Rogan said that he's pretty good on the ground. But then I've also heard that, he's been taken down and had problems where he gets taken down over and over again. So we'll see. But from what I see that he's won and gotten to this shot is because of his knockout power and his stand-up. And his stand-up is no good. Technique-wise, no good. It's no good. But he hits hard. And in the UFC, even if you have good stand-up, if a guy bum rushes you or something like that, the guys aren't experienced enough to really to know, like, avoid the bad habits. And there's a chance that, if Dominic Reyes gets in and they trade, right, and he leaves one hand down, trades left hook with him, then he gets caught, he goes to sleep, because this guy has that kind of power. And that's what he's gonna look to do. And he's gonna look for him to come in and Dominic Reyes to stay in too long, and he's gonna get too confident, and he's gonna get touched. And if he gets touched, this guy's used to putting someone to sleep, he touches them. And from what I've seen, that's what happens. But I'm gonna take Dominic Reyes in this fight because everything's telling me that Dominic Reyes is a better fighter. He's better skilled. He beat John Jones, in my opinion. I think pretty much a lot of people's opinion. He's the best light heavyweight in the world, and I think he's only getting better. From what I've seen, he gets better and better and better. But he did fight Ozdemir, and Ozdemir gave him a hard time. And Ozdemir fights somewhat similar to what we're gonna see from John. And I'm gonna take Dominic. Everything's telling me Dominic Reyes is a better fighter here, and I'm gonna take Dominic Reyes by decision. I think John's tough, and I think that Dominic Reyes is going to move around and fight a disciplined fight. May not be the most exciting fight, but I think Dominic Reyes wins this fight. And if it gets more exciting, I think chances of John winning increase every time this fight gets more exciting. So I hope Dominic Reyes fights a disciplined fight and really shows off skills and shows that he's getting better and better, because I think there's a chance for stardom in him for him in the UFC. So it gets interesting. Conor McGregor, onto other news. A lot of things happening. I was talking about race and racial issues in the UFC, and then, I was ahead of the game. Kobe Covington went on a rant and said some things that, some things were just pro-Republican, and that's not wrong. That's what he believes in, and that's his right to do that. And then some things were racist, and some things were just ignorant, and he just spewed off a bunch of stuff and was never held accountable for it. And the UFC is not going to hold anyone accountable for it, but this won't stop, and the UFC is not going to escape this. See, that's what I'm telling you, is that they keep thinking that, like, it's going to happen, it's going to go away. This happens, it's going to go away. It won't. And if you let a guy like Kobe come to keep talking, he will keep saying worse things, and it will get worse for him. And it will get worse for the UFC. So these issues are not going to go away. They can't get brushed under the rug. And these issues usually not crumble leagues, but they usually, when they come up, changes have to be made. So we'll continue to wait on that. Conor McGregor can't seem to get a fight with the UFC, so he's going to fight Manny Pacquiao. And this seems pretty realistic, and this seems like very good journalists are reporting that they're in negotiations right now. And that's good for Conor McGregor, honestly. He's going to get paid very good for that fight. And does he have a chance of winning it? I don't think so personally, but I'm a little biased, right? For boxing, I'm a little biased. I don't think he has a chance. But Pacquiao's going to trade with him, and that's Conor McGregor's going to be Conor McGregor's best chance. And he's a bigger man, and he's has power. And if he lands right, he could hurt Pacquiao, because he's big, and as long as he lands with his feet underneath him, it could get interesting. From what I seen train today, I just can't buy that. I can't buy that he will beat Pacquiao, but it's going to get more interesting. And as the fight gets closer, I guarantee more people will be uncertain by it. But it's a good weekend of fights, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see how these all play out. And thank you guys for listening and watching. Please subscribe, please like, and let's keep this ball rolling. This has been The Weigh-In.